All right. All right, Bulls and Bears. Hey, everybody. We are back with another dose of economic reality. Consumers are tapping out big time. We're going to talk about what's happening with the consumers being the backbone of the U.S. economy, consumer spending. Now, of course, now it's government spending as well. And remember, the government spending that gets chalked up into economic growth, right? So the more money they throw at the problem, the more they make the economy look better when it's actually doing worse, right? So government spending, all the spending for throwing it out to foreign countries, to war, to fund wars, all the spending. The Inflation Reduction Act was at $1.9 trillion. That is spending that gets chalked up into economic growth, believe it or not. So when they throw money at the problem, it actually makes the economy look better on paper, but in reality, it makes things worse because you have worsening inflation with the more money that they throw at this problem, right? But we've got some news today that's going to go right along with kind of what we've been reporting on in this channel here for a while now, is that many consumers are getting tapped out, meaning they're at their limit. The 1 in 5 people can't make their credit card payment. They're actually reached their credit limit or credit ceiling. We're going to see how the banks respond to that. So it's going to be very interesting. But here's an article that kind of sums up, what we've been talking about here. This is out of Fortune. Here's how they put it. Consumers are so demoralized by inflation. Excuse me. Consumers are so demoralized by inflation and high rates that they've given up on saving for the American dream and are spending money instead. Then it goes on to say, and this lady looks really sad, going to say here, the positive spending is not a reflection of some sort of internalized secret sense of confidence that the consumer has. And you usually see that type of economic news being reported. What they'll say is, oh, look, the consumers are spending. They must feel confident. They must feel great about the economy. They must feel great about how much money they have or don't have in their savings account. They must feel confident because they're spending money. It's just the opposite. The reason people are spending money is because you're basically punished for saving money, right? Imagine saving money and the thing you could have bought maybe last year, maybe 2 years ago, is now 50% higher. So you saved money and actually lost money in the end because now what you could have bought 2 years ago for a much lower price now has skyrocketed in price. And that's what happens with inflation. You have people just spending money as quickly as possible. And not only that, you have people pulling money out of their savings account. We see the savings rate is plunged. We see people pulling money out of their 401k, right? All these things we talk about here in this channel. And actually, that article summed it up pretty well. Consumers are just spending money. They become demoralized. And how do they put it here? What was the buzzwords here? Consumers are so demoralized by inflation and high rates. They've given up on savings, So they're no longer saving, one, and they're spending money as fast as possible too, because why save? And that's a kind of a twofold thing. One, they have to spend money because the cost of everything is so expensive. But two, even money that they don't have to spend, they're choosing to spend it because whatever they want to buy now might be twice as much in 2 years. With the inflation that's happening right now, what if everything does go up another 50%, another 100%? That's the kind of the fear I think people have and why they're doing this demoralized spending, right? I don't think I've ever said that, but that's a new term that I think is probably very fitting, demoralized spending. All right, so I think this perfectly answers the question that I think many of you have had towards what's happening right now. You go out and you go places and you see the restaurants are packed, the stadiums are packed, right? Why are people packing these places? Because they're rich, because they're doing good? No, because why not spend the money now? Because everything is going to be more expensive down the road. That's what people fear. Now, will things be more expensive? I don't know. Will we see this economic collapse that many people have been predicting? And will we see deflation? Well, no, not if the banks keep loaning out money like they are. But we're seeing a lot of things come to a head right now where banks are going to have to make big decisions because we see the delinquencies. We see the 20% of people maxed out on their credit cards, reaching their credit limits. There's going to have to be some big decisions made right this summer, like coming up very, very soon with the banks. because defaults are starting to skyrocket and people are hitting their limits, right? So this is a very, very important time for the economy, and especially an important time for us to keep an eye on what's going on here to try to get a timeline on the way things are going to play out here. And it's actually very interesting. I've spoken to many, many people who haven't just gone out and spent money at restaurants, traveling, going to events, etc. They've actually made big purchases because of fear of missing out. They're afraid that prices are going to continue to go up. And when you look around, I mean, I can't blame them for fearing that. I can't blame them. I know people that bought houses that could barely scrape up a down payment because they were afraid that if they waited any longer, even 6 more months, what are home prices going to be in 6 months? Are they going to be higher again? Will we never see a correction? If they keep throwing money at the problem, if they keep uh, putting these things out there to help people, to help keep the bubbles inflated, like down payment assistance programs. In other words, they're doing more to keep the bubble inflated than they are to let it deflate, right? So they would rather see more inflate versus deflate, because deflate brings on a much larger, quicker, more drastic correction and a lot more job losses, right? Inflation, things play out much more slowly. And of course, they want to buy time. They want this thing kicked down the road as far as possible. You've heard the term kicking the can down the road. Well, we've never seen this type of can kicking that I've ever seen, even compared to the financial crisis, go all the way back to previous financial situations. I've never seen this level of can kicking, and I've never seen this long of a road. But this is what they're doing. It's inflate, inflate, inflate. And something that I think is very important for people to realize, this is global. This is worldwide, right? This creation of money, fiat currency, fiat money is global, right? And of course, there are some nations out there going to commodities, going to asset-backed trade with other countries. Of course, we've got the BRICS nations out there. But look what's happening even in China, which is a BRICS nation. They're trying to keep their housing bubble propped up here. China attempts to end property crisis with a broad rescue package. So they're dropping rates, they're lowering the down payment requirement, right? So it's more intervention into the markets, right? There's no free markets anywhere in the world, especially here in the U.S. There's no free markets. It's all intervention, um, assistance programs to keep things moving as far as moving real estate. Imagine how little sales there would be right now if it weren't for all the down payment assistance programs. All the major banks right now are engaged in down payment assistance programs with the government, right? So it's very, very interesting. It used to be a 20% down payment was required. Now we still have FHA giving out loans at 3.5% down payment. Even non-FHA loans, we've got down payments like 5%, right? So things are very loose monetarily right now. Even with the loose lending, we still see home sales have dropped off of a cliff. All right, and here's something else to convince you that this is global, right? People think, okay, we're going to change a leader this November. We're going to have somebody new behind the desk there. And they're going to fix everything. Folks, wrong. I hate to rain on your parade. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. That is wrong, folks. It's not about a leader. It doesn't make any difference. It's about the bank issuing credit, putting basically fires out with more fuel. That's what they're doing. They're putting fires out with more fuel, helicopter money, easy money. Here's a statistic right here. And this goes back to the consumer. The consumer cannot afford to live. They can still afford to go out and shop because instead of saving money, they're going on there shopping with it. Do you understand why the malls are full? Really, people aren't going to malls that much. Online shopping, restaurants are packed, stadiums are packed. Watch the basketball playoffs. I've watched a few of the games, and the Nuggets lost, by the way. I'm a little disappointed. But why am I not a Lakers fan? I don't know. Doesn't matter. I did watch a few of the games. Stadiums packed. You would think everybody's rich. Just the opposite, folks. They're just spending money like it's going out of style because why not? Right? Why save? You're punished. You're punished for saving. That's how a lot of people feel. But people can't afford to raise a family. They can't afford kids. Look at this. Birth rate drops to all-time low in the U.S. and worldwide. Right? It's not just about the U.S. It's not about the crappy leadership that we have right now that we probably had for decades, in my opinion. Right? It's about the way that the money, the helicopter money, is put out there, creating more money out of thin air, right? This is the reason behind it. It all goes back to this, to the money, right? Fiat money, right? So until we see a change in that, you may not see much of a change with what's happening right now. You may want to brace for more inflation until somebody pulls the plug on this way that they're making this money. They're throwing money out into the economy. Then brace for more inflation, folks. Stack, you know what I stack, and I've said it many times here. Brace for what's coming, and it's going to be very interesting, right? So make sure you're following us here. Subscribed is the right word. Make sure you're subscribed. Come back for more updates. What do you think about the consumer? Basically, what was the headline again? Consumers demoralized, spending money just as fast as they can, so even before they get it. Buy now, pay later, running up debt like we've never seen before, folks. Looks like the end game. I mean, something's got to snap here, and very, very soon, right? So keep an eye on this channel. It's very important to stay ahead of the financial curve, and we're going to get through this together, and I think we're going to be just fine on the other side. Everybody, thanks for watching. Big love. Bye for now. Peace.